Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Strange Radios. My name is Jeremy, and this is my top 10 albums for 2017. So before we get into the list proper, I have 4 honorable mentions I want to point out. First being Cannibal Corpse, Red Before Black. Not that this is an amazing record or a great record in any real sort of way, just that this is a pretty decent record for Cannibal Corpse at this point in their career. Just giving it a shout out, not that it would make my list, but it's a good album. Next honorable mention, Dying Fetus, wrong one to fuck with. Oh, glare, okay. The next honorable mention, Act of Defiance. Man, there's a lot of metal on this so far. Act of Defiance, old, not even the right album. Old Scars, New Wounds. That was their first album. Pretty good. So the main reason this is not included in the top 10 was I just bought it, I think about a week and a half ago. And my last honorable mention, if you'd like, you can consider this number 11. You'll see why later on in the video, why I'm saying that. This is John Zorn, Midsummer Moons. Just a beautiful instrumental album, and the songs are very mysterious and captivating. They all sort of fit into the theme, which is the moon, and John Zorn sort of takes that theme through a Shakespearean eye. But let's move on to the list proper. And actually, I do not have a copy of what would be number 10. I should really fix that. Number 10, Open Mike Eagle, Brick Body Kid Still Daydream, which gets a bonus award for the title, the album title that I've fucked up the most this year. Anyways, this is a concept album by rapper Open Mike Eagle about a superhero named Iron Hood. And Iron Hood basically is a superhero that wants peace for his neighborhood and works to protect his neighborhood, specifically his auntie's building and his childhood memories tied to it. It gets a little weirder and more literal than that, but I don't want to spoil it because there is a narrative to this album. A loose narrative, but there's a narrative to it, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty interesting album that Mike sort of cobbled together here, with both the lyrics and his delivery and the instrumentals giving sort of this sort of somber, sad, joyous, and halcyon attitude in parts, and it all comes together well. Everything feels like it belongs. Mike's got some great lines. He's got some great lines on this album. I keep my head down like I'm walking to school. I was brought into this world with the instinct to back the hell away. I'm not sure if Death Certificate's better than The Predator. Talking about Ice Cube albums. It's a bold claim. I might not agree with that, but I respect the fact that he put that on record. But my favorite line on the whole album, it's off 95 Radios. And obviously, in terms of music lingo, because in the song he's rapping about hip-hop music. And there's musical term and lingos. You have the term hook, which means chorus, right, or refrain. You also have the term loop, which just means a beat that gets repeated. And so Mike has a line of hooks fit loops copyrighted by Velcro. Fucking kidding me. From a songwriting standpoint, that's an amazing line. I love that line. It's so fucking good. I wish I'd written it. But that brings us to number 9, which I also don't have a physical copy of. I need to fix that as well. I swear I have physical copies of the rest of them. Number 9, Raekwon, The Wild. I've been sleeping on Ray lately. His last couple albums I didn't look into. I didn't listen to them at all. And I don't remember why I checked out The Wild, but I did. And man, I don't know that Ray's ever been this good. This might be Raekwon's best project. The beats that he's got on this album are just great. They're gritty, they're grimy. They fit Raekwon's delivery just perfectly. Ray's lyrics are great on this record. Again, the storytelling on this record is really good as well. There's some really good wordplay on this record. But yeah, Ray comes through with a great album here. And I was nervous going into it because of the features I saw on here. There's 3 features on here that had me really nervous. G-Eazy, who I don't like at all, but admittedly I haven't listened to a lot from him. But on this one, he does a good verse. I'll admit it. He has a good verse on here. The second was Lil Wayne, who I don't think I've ever liked anything from Lil Wayne. I actively dislike him as a musician. But I gotta admit, Lil Wayne came through with a verse that was tolerable, which from Lil Wayne is the best I could hope for. And the last feature that had me nervous was CeeLo Green. And CeeLo was featured on the hook for the song Marvin, which is a story song about the life of Marvin Gaye. And CeeLo just hits that. He's featured on the hook, and he does it perfectly. Such a beautiful rendition that fits Raekwon's story. It's so well. It's such a beautiful, beautiful song. Number 8, The Residents, The Ghost of Hope, a concept album about historical, famous train accidents, which is a weird concept, but for The Residents, that's par for the course, I guess, at this point. There's some really cool ambient moments on this thing with the nature sounds and the industrial sounds and sounds of trains and railroads and railroad workers and stuff like that. Some interesting stuff that doesn't sound cheesy. It works for the stories that they're building here. And the lyrics on this album are pretty blunt. They get pretty dark. And an interesting thing I noticed was that the lead singer sort of serves as a narrator through all the tracks. And he reuses the same vocal line from song to song to song. No matter what the backing music is, that vocal line sort of comes through again and again, which, again, ties the whole album together so as to give it a more cohesive feel. This is an album that you really should listen to as a whole. You can't really pick out individual tracks. This is more of a whole album experience, in my opinion. Number 7, Integrity, Howling for the Nightmare Shall Consume. This is my introduction to Integrity. I bought this album as a blind buy, not knowing anything about them, just looking at the cover and thinking, God damn, that looks like a pretty cool band. And when I listened to it, I was actually kind of surprised. It's not what I was expecting at all. Basically, a hardcore band that blends a whole litany of different metal subgenres together. You know, they can go from thrash to punk to hints of death metal to hints of black metal to doom metal, but it all has this hardcore through line that ties it all together, which it is really cool. It's really interesting. Number 6, Dead Cross, Dead Cross. Dead Cross, hardcore supergroup. So yeah, it's fast, it's spastic, it's bludgeoning. It takes some interesting turns here and there, especially with the cover of Bela Lugosi's Dead, which is an interesting choice, but works well, in my opinion. Mike Patton on this thing is on great form, high energy. I think he fits this type of music quite well. Number 5, Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit, The Nashville Sound. Country music album with some beautiful lyrics and some wonderful musical melodies going on. And it has quite a variety of instrumentation on here. Some songs are very skeletal, very bare bones, very simple. Other songs get a little more complex. Other songs just go straight up hard rock. And I think the way Jason chooses what the instrumentation is going to be, I think fits each song perfectly. Nothing sounds out of place here. It all sounds really well done. A lot of these tracks have some interesting song concepts that I think Jason approaches very well, and they're all executed very well as well, with some captivating lyrics throughout this whole thing. Standout tracks for me on this: Last of My Kind, Cumberland Gap, If We Were Vampires, and Chaos and Clothes. I think those four are all just wonderful, wonderful songs. Number 4, Gord Downie, Introduce Yourself. Gord Downie, lead singer of the Tragically Hip. This is his posthumous album. He passed away earlier this year, a week before this album came out, roughly. He had been diagnosed in early 2016 with terminal brain cancer, and through 2016 and 2017, he was just a tour de force in terms of touring, in terms of writing and recording. The dude just dug in his heels and worked. And Gord is one of my favorite singer-songwriters ever, one of my favorite lyricists in any genre. The dude is so good at writing, and it's a real shame that we lost him so early. But this record, it's an interesting thing, because again, he knew he was dying. And this record was recorded in 2 4-day sessions. So he did 4 days, and then a number of months later, he did another 4 days. And most of these songs, and there's a lot of them, there's 23 tracks on this, and most of these songs were done on the first take. And so there's a lot of imperfection on this album. There's a lot of moments where you hear, the guitar string ringing, or Gord's voice isn't hitting exactly where it should. But those little imperfections really, to me, just add to the weight of the emotion of this record. Because, normally Gord writing and recording, those little imperfections, those little things that you hear on here, those would normally get cleared up in the studio. You'd re-record, you'd fix it. But Gord, almost literally just didn't have the time to do that. The time or the energy. He just had to get these songs out while he could. And it just makes it so much sadder. And like I said, so much more emotionally heavy to hear those sorts of moments on this. So each song on this album is about a person, and most of the songs cover they're basically short stories. They're very interesting, some of them are very captivating, some are kind of funny, a lot of them are just touching, just simple, just heartfelt songs. A number of them stand out, but I'll Introduce Yourself, the title track, has a funny story that goes along with it. And Spoon is another, it's a very touching song. And Snowflakes is another one that's just captivating. The North is a beautiful, beautiful track. There's just a lot of interesting things going on here. And yeah, like I said, there's you hear some imperfections, but again, that just adds to the emotional weight of this record. And it can be heartbreaking to listen to. It can be hard to sit through because of the emotion and because of how long it is. Again, 23 tracks long. I do find it hard to sit through this thing. And even with all the emotion, even with the sadness of Gord passing away, when I listen to this, the way Gord tells these stories, I'm not feeling sad when I walk away from this record. I can't help but smile. I think Gord left us with something truly beautiful. Number 3, Cadaveric Incubator, Sermons of the Devouring Dead. Okay, ignore the change of scenery for a moment. In post, I realized something weird went on with this section of the video, So doing a reshoot. Okay, Cadaveric Incubator. Recently reactivated death grind band from Finland. They were around in the early 2000s. Did a split and a demo and here and there and that stuff. Reactivated in 2016. And this is their first full-length album. Like I said, Sermons of the Devouring Dead. Right out of the gates, just fucking pummeling, just disgusting, just heavy as fuck. And what I really love about this album is its ability to just balance just crazy heavy grindcore with just memorable hooks and riffs and leads, and it's a great balance of disgusting and catchy, and it does it really, really well. The whole thing lasts less than 30 minutes, and so it does not overstay its welcome at all, which I really enjoy. And there's a few moments on this that are a bit atypical for a grindcore band, which helps to keep the momentum going and keeps it from getting stale. But like I said, the whole thing's less than 30 minutes, so it's actually it's, the only thing I dislike about the album is I want more from it. Is I want it to last longer. Number 2, Tyler the Creator, Scumfuck Flower Boy. Yeah, I'm surprised too. Would not have expected a Tyler album ever to land on my top 10. I've never really been a fan of his. But what really drew me in was when I heard that the first track on here, Forward, featured the band Can. That really piqued my interest. And so, I listened to it on Spotify, and this is a beautiful sounding record. This is gorgeous. Very lush. Every song is just either gorgeous or emotive or evocative instrumentals on it. It's just, the lyrics are really great on this thing, too. Really introspective, meaningful, and there's themes that Tyler keeps bringing up throughout the entire album. The themes of cars, the theme of birds, the theme of flowers. Like these things, he keeps bringing them up, and you start paying attention to what each of them is meaning, what he's meaning by each thing. And it's just, I think he's doing something really special. The part of this album that I dislike the most is the chorus for Glitter. But otherwise, I mean that's easily outweighed by all the good moments on this album. I think Tyler's come through with something just incredibly special on this record, and honestly unexpected. Number 1, Run the Jewels, Run the Jewels 3. Again, controversial. Some people are going to say I'm cheating. I can see why. The physical release date was early 2017, but the band gave the music away for free, so some people want to say it was a 2016 release. I won't fight you on that, but for me it's a 2017 release with the physical copy coming in 2017. Just because the band made it available beforehand doesn't really change much for me. The album was still scheduled for January, and it came out in January. But I mean, what hasn't been said about this record? Just insane, amazing beat, one after another. This thing is so fucking good. Produced just incredibly. And Mike and Al, the lyrics on this are great as well. And what gets me more is the flow. Mike always, Killer Mike always, but even LP on this, their flows are matching the beats perfectly. And yeah, it's just banger after banger on this album. Even when the subject matter and the emotions get pretty heavy on this record, they find a perfect way to balance between an emotional subject and a catchy groove. The one low point for me on this album, the one single low point, Danny Brown's feature. I guess it's just me, but I cannot stand Danny Brown's voice. His voice just bugs the fuck out of me. I'm sorry. But here, winding up, like I said, some of you will think I'm cheating by putting this at number one. If you think that, that's fine. Just take that out. You know, move all these other albums up one spot and put Midsummer Moons at number 10. I highly recommend any of these records. Gord Downie, Cadaveric Incubator, Integrity, Dead Cross, Jason Isbell, Residents, Raekwon, Open Mike Eagle. What were your favorite albums of 2017? Any of these albums here make your list? Do any of the albums here offend you by the fact that they're on someone's year-end list? Let me know. I'm really curious as to what people think about these particular records and about what records perhaps that I should have had on this list. I guess that's the end of it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. Hope you enjoyed the discussion here, and we'll see you later. This has been Strange Radios. Stranger, adios.